So we're back after the pre-shaping. I do want to share a really important tip that I picked up from watching a masterclass. It's a really high-level, 5-star chef kind of tip, is that if a cutting board is sliding around, you can just put a wet paper napkin underneath it, and it will actually stop the sliding. Here is the dough 30 minutes later. At this point, the surface of the dough has absorbed the flour that we put. We're going to put another layer there, and then we're going to dust the surface here very quickly so that we can turn this dough over. And we're going to continue this same process of creating a taut, tense skin on the surface of this dough. You can see it's flattened, it's relaxed out. We're going to tighten that back up here using a different technique. So in the pre-shaping, we were scraping along the surface of the board, creating that tension on the outside. With the shaping technique, we're going to give a final moment to stretch just the outside of that dough and create a really tight surface, which we're then going to tighten up at the end. Before we do that, we are going to prepare our banneton. This is where the fermentation, that's the rising action, is going to happen when it's at its full speed. So I'm going to dust this with a little bit of rice flour and just going to distribute it around the edge here. And that's going to keep the dough from sticking. It shouldn't anyway, but it gives a little bit of extra insurance that it won't stick on its way out. So we're going to just empty that into the sink. Now we have a banneton that's prepared. Set that aside, and now we're just going to disconnect this from the cutting board, and then we're going to flip it over. So now, as I said, we're going to try and focus on stretching that outside of that dough. So we want to flour our hands pretty liberally so that we can touch this side of the dough. And I actually like to wet my thumbs a little bit so that I can touch this side of the dough, which is unfloured, in the process. So it's very similar to what we did before. We're going to stretch it up and we're going to fold it over. And again, I can collect flour. I'm going to stretch it up, and this is a technique called stitching. You can see the fermentation happening there. Again, over and over, and all of these things are doing is just stretching the back side of that dough and bringing it together. Once we're here, I'm going to take that, fold it over, and over one more time. And now, very similar to the pre-shaping step, I'm going to create tension by pushing that dough, just like that. And again, flour up here and create tension by pulling it along. And I'm actually stretching the dough and turning. And with each push, similar to the pre-shaping step, I'm actually allowing that dough to stretch a little bit against the board. So in this circular kind of motion, I'm stretching a skin across the surface of that dough, getting it nice and tight. Now you don't want to break it. There is a point at which you have reached maximum tension and you will start to see little cracks starting to show up on the surface. And you've taken it at that point to as tense as it's going to be. So you can keep kind of stretching it. And now we're getting to a point here, you can just start to see little cracks starting to form. So we don't want to take it too much farther past that. You can get a little bit of extra tension just by twisting it. So the tension against the back of the board, you can see how it returns. So I twist a little bit and it kind of pops back. So that also is gathering up. And you can start to see right here that parchment-like texture that indicates we've reached the limit of what this dough is going to be able to do. I do like to let it rest for 30 seconds, a minute, let that gluten on that skin just relax out. It's slightly untwisting, and then I'm going to give it a final twist, and I'm going to put it upside down in the banneton here. So that's all it needs. We'll just give one last tightening, twist, 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 lock it in place, and then upside down into the banneton just like that. We're going to cover that with our silicone covers here, or saran wrap, whatever you like. Just so it creates a good seal, I'm going to put a rubber band over that. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to let it complete the full fermentation. Fermentation is the main rising action. It starts the moment we add the starter, and it's been going on all along. Now we're hitting the exponential part of that, so we want to let it completely rest. The total rise time is usually somewhat similar to that starter rise time. So I told you that when we feed the starter, we let that rise for 5 to 8 hours. The moment we started mixing, we started the timer. We've taken about 2 hours to get to this point, strengthening the gluten, getting it into this final shape, and we're going to set this aside, let it rise for 4.5 hours. After that time is complete, we're going to take this thing and we're going to stick it in the refrigerator. In the refrigerator, the temperature is going to drop to 38 degrees, and fermentation itself is going to slow down dramatically or stop completely. And what will continue is enzymatic action. So the enzymes from the bacteria will continue working and will continue making non-carbon dioxide products. So the richness of flavor is going to keep evolving. We're going to leave it in there for 12 to 14 hours before we bake it.